At 2 a.m., when most of the world was asleep, a poor mechanic named Armand stood in the grand doorway of a mansion he never imagined stepping into. His hands were rough, stained with oil and grease from the workshop he worked at all day, yet tonight those very hands had been called to fix something so delicate, a flickering bedroom light. He had no idea that one small repair would change the entire course of his life. And if you stay until the end, you'll see why sometimes the smallest choices, like answering a call in the middle of the night, can lead to the most unexpected miracles. Armand had been struggling for years. Life in the city wasn't easy, and though he worked tirelessly fixing engines, scraping rust, and patching up broken vehicles, the money was never enough. Rent was late, the electricity bill kept piling up, and his younger sister's school fees haunted his thoughts like a shadow that never left. When his old phone buzzed with an unknown number that night, he almost ignored it. But desperation made him answer. On the other side of the call, a timid female voice asked, "Do you fix lights? My bedroom light won't stop flickering. It's unbearable." Armand was puzzled. He wasn't an electrician, not exactly, but years of fixing cars had taught him enough about wires, fuses, and circuits. He hesitated, then replied, "I can try. But it's late. I'll pay you double. Please." "I can't sleep like this," the voice whispered. That plea carried something more than frustration, it carried loneliness. Against his better judgment, Armand grabbed his worn-out toolkit and pedaled his old bicycle through the sleeping city toward the address she had sent. When he reached, he stopped in awe. Towering gates, sprawling gardens, lights glowing like stars, it was a millionaire's mansion inside. He was led upstairs by a maid who looked at him curiously, as if wondering why a man with torn shoes and oil-stained clothes was stepping onto polished marble floors. The bedroom door opened, and there she was, Alina, the lonely millionaire. Her beauty wasn't in the glittering silk robe she wore or the golden frame of the bed behind her, but in her eyes that looked tired from nights without rest, eyes that carried a pain no wealth could soothe. She pointed to the ceiling light. "It won't stop flickering. I've tried everything. Can you help?" Armand nodded, quietly setting to work. He climbed the ladder, carefully twisting wires, replacing a faulty connector, and within minutes, the flicker stilled. The room glowed with warm, steady light. Alina let out a sigh of relief. But instead of sending him away, she whispered something that froze him in place. "Stay with me, just for a while. Please." He turned to face her, unsure. "Miss, I'm just a mechanic. I don't belong here." But she shook her head. "That's exactly why. Everyone who comes here only sees my wealth. They talk about money, business, investments. Not one of them ever asks me how I am. And tonight, I couldn't bear the silence anymore." Armand didn't know what to say. He thought of his leaking roof, his sister's unpaid school fee, the hunger gnawing at his stomach. But there was something in her voice, a kind of vulnerability he couldn't ignore. So, instead of leaving, he pulled a chair and sat her, and in the quiet glow of the fixed light, they talked. She told him about her empire, how she had inherited wealth but lost family in the process. Friends had drifted away, love had betrayed her, and loneliness had become her constant companion. He told her about his mother's dreams for him, the weight of responsibility he carried, and the way poverty sometimes crushed his spirit. For hours, two souls from completely different worlds sat together, finding comfort in their honesty. She was a millionaire starved for real connection, and he was a poor mechanic starved for hope. The next morning, when the first rays of sunlight streamed into the mansion, Alina handed him more money than he had ever seen in his life. He refused at first, but she insisted. "This isn't payment for fixing the light. It's for fixing a loneliness I thought money never could." Days turned into weeks, and Armand found himself returning, not for money, but because she kept asking him to stay, to talk, to simply be there. Slowly, what began as a desperate whisper became a bond neither expected. Of course, the world judged them. People sneered at the mechanic who dared to walk beside a millionaire. They said he was using her, that he was a gold digger, while others whispered she was foolish for opening her heart to someone beneath her. But Alina silenced them with a simple truth: "He fixed my light when I was in darkness, not just in my room, but in my life." Together, they faced storms, his fear of not being enough, her battle with the emptiness wealth had given her. Yet with every challenge, they discovered something stronger, love built not on riches or status, but on kindness, understanding, and the courage to see each other's souls, and maybe that's the message you were meant to hear tonight. Sometimes, the smallest act, like fixing a light at 2 a.m., can lead you to the place you were always meant to be. Sometimes, love doesn't come wrapped in wealth or perfection, but in the whisper of someone saying, "Stay with me." Because in the end, it wasn't a mechanic fixing a light or a millionaire whispering a plea. It was two broken hearts finding light in each other.